The cameras flashed, the crowd froze. A fairy tale romance, watched by millions, was suddenly shattering in real time. And just like that, Hollywood had a new obsession. Welcome to the deep dive. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals. From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
Right, and our mission today is to take this massive stack of interviews, news reports, and legal filings, honestly, to unpack a headline that really stopped everyone in their tracks. The headline is, Shakira just described the darkest moment of her Piqué heartbreak.
Yeah, that quote is just, it's heavy.
It really is. And we aren't just looking at the tabloid summaries here. We are exploring the anatomy of a massive pop culture breakup, the actual mechanics of how she channeled that profound grief into record-breaking art, and the staggering multi-million-dollar legal battle she's fighting right now to secure her freedom.
It's a lot. So put yourself in Shakira's shoes for just a second. Imagine you're standing in an intensive care unit. The machines are beeping. Your dad, the man you rely on most in the world, is fighting for his life after a terrible fall.
Oh, God.
Right. And right then, in that sterile hospital lighting, with your family literally hanging by a thread, you look at your phone. You start reading the tabloid press, and you discover that your partner of 11 years, the father of your 2 children, has been living a double life.
I mean, it is the absolute definition of compounding trauma. You know, you have an 11-year relationship with Gerard Piqué, who is like a Spanish soccer legend. You have 2 young sons, Milan and Sasha, and her father, William Mbarek, had actually traveled to Barcelona specifically to console Shakira amid the initial rumors.
He flew out there to be her rock.
Exactly, he was there to support her. But while attending her son Milan's first communion, he suffers a severe fall. That is how he ends up gravely injured in the ICU.
So the very person who flew across the world to hold her together is suddenly the person she's terrified of losing forever. I mean, she described it as feeling like her entire home was falling apart all at once.
Yeah.
Like someone had literally stabbed a hole in her chest.
And the isolation of that moment, it's hard to overstate. She couldn't even go to him for advice. She's sitting in a hospital waiting room, reading about her own betrayal in the daily paper. And meanwhile, the paparazzi are quite literally swarming the hospital entrances in her family home.
Just absolutely zero privacy.
None. And when you are operating at that level of hyperfame, you can't just call up an old friend from high school and expect them to understand, you know, the compounding pressure of a global media circuit.
Which is probably why she leaned so heavily on people who actually do understand the fishbowl. Like She mentioned Chris Martin from Coldplay and Adele checking in on her.
Yeah, they were crucial to her survival. When you go through the dissolution of your family on a world stage, the only people who can offer practical emotional support are the peers who have navigated that same suffocating level of public scrutiny.
Because they get it.
Right. They understand the surreal nature of grieving a private loss, while the entire world is treating it as public entertainment.
Wait, I'm stuck on this one thing, though. Because the entire world was treating it as entertainment, and the internet completely glossed over the ICU trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, everybody latched onto a grocery item.
Oh, the jam.
Yes. Why was the whole internet obsessed with a jar of strawberry jam when this woman is going through profound, life-altering devastation?
I mean, it's the psychology of how we consume celebrity pain. You're talking about the viral rumor that Shakira came home from traveling and found a jar of strawberry jam eaten.
Right, because supposedly she was the only one in the house who liked it.
Exactly. So it became this smoking gun that proved Piqué had another woman in the house. Now, Shakira has officially debunked this. She came out and explicitly stated it is simply not true.
But no one cared. It was everywhere. TikToks, think pieces, memes. I mean, it's like a modern-day Cinderella's glass slipper, except it's a sticky jar of betrayal.
Because a jam jar is a digestible, memeable plot device. It shrinks the trauma down to something you can, you know, drop in a group chat.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The reality grieving a decade-long relationship while your father is on life support and paparazzi are screaming outside your window is messy. It's agonizing. People grab onto the jam jar because it gives them a neat cinematic mystery to solve, completely avoiding the heavy reality of her actual lived experience.
And the reality didn't get any less painful, especially when you look in Piqué's recent CNN interview. He basically went on the record to say Shakira isn't being fully truthful about how the breakup went down.
Yeah, he was very deliberate with his wording there. He said the truth wasn't told the way it actually occurred, though he acknowledges he can't control the public narrative. But he also made sure to emphasize how very happy he is now.
Oh, of course he did.
Right. He stated he feels privileged and is having a great time with his new girlfriend, Clara Chia Marti.
Who is 25, by the way, making her 12 years younger than him.
Correct. And to add another layer to the situation, he and Clara have actually moved into the exact same family home in Barcelona where Shakira used to live.
No way.
Yes. The house where she raised her kids.
The sheer audacity of that is breathtaking. Like, it's one thing to move on, it's another to move the new girlfriend into the sanctuary your ex built.
It's bold.
So bold. But if Piqué thought moving on so publicly was going to quiet things down, he vastly underestimated who he was dealing with. Because when the reality of that betrayal finally settles, you have two choices. You can hide or you can weaponize it. And what she did next literally broke the internet.
Completely shattered it.
And that's not even the wildest part. Later in this deep dive, we'll talk about the shocking twist regarding her own team's reaction to her most famous diss track.
It's a behind-the-scenes panic that really changes how you view the entire music industry.
If you're loving these Hollywood twists, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
So, if we look at the timeline, Shakira moves through denial, anger, pain, and frustration, and arrives at what she calls her survival stage.
Okay.
She likened it to being a cat with more than 9 lives. Every time she felt she had nothing left, she found a second wind. And that second wind resulted in one of the most explosive musical moments of the decade, the Bzrp Music Sessions, Volume 53.
Let's actually define what that is for a second, because if you aren't deep into the Latin music scene, you might not realize the cultural weight of a Bzrp session.
Yeah.
Bzrp is an Argentine producer, and his setup is incredibly raw.
Very stripped down.
Yeah, it's just a microphone, his studio equipment, and this signature blue lighting. When an artist steps into that room, it's a signal to the audience that the PR filters are off. They are about to bare their soul.
Exactly. It operates as a cultural reset button. And Shakira didn't just bare her soul, she went scorched earth. She famously targeted Pique and Clara directly with the lyrics, saying, "You swapped a Ferrari for a Twingo. You swapped a Rolex for a Casio."
I mean, the real-world fallout from those lyrics was insane. Casio's stock actually fluctuated, and their brand had to put out statements.
I know, it was crazy.
And Piqué literally showed up to an event driving a Renault Twingo and wearing a Casio watch just to troll her back. It became a global spectator sport.
It really did. But what most people don't know is the sheer panic happening behind the curtain. When Shakira recorded that session and her management team heard the lyrics, they freaked out.
Wait, really? Her own team?
Her own team. They literally begged her, please change this. Don't even think about coming out with those lyrics. They were terrified of the legal implications, the PR backlash, the potential alienation of sponsors. They wanted safe, managed, diplomatic separation music.
It's like a bunch of executives in suits trying to put a silencer on a cannon.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Isn't it fascinating that the very thing the music industry suits feared, raw, unfiltered, undiplomatic female rage, is exactly what broke the internet and became a global feminist anthem. And her response to them is legendary. She told them, "I'm not a diplomat in the United Nations. I'm an artist."
Right. And to really understand why she refused to back down, you have to look at the mechanics of her entire career. Shakira has never had the luxury of playing it safe. If you go back to her early days in Colombia in the 1990s, the landscape she was trying to enter didn't even have a pop scene.
Wow, really?
Yeah, it was completely dominated by traditional tropical music, and it was run almost exclusively by men.
She was fighting intense prejudice.
Yeah.
Right. People outside the country only associated Colombia with drug cartels, and gatekeepers inside the country told her she sounded weird. They literally told her she sang like a goat.
Which is, ironically, the very vibrato that makes her universally recognizable today. But she had to fight tooth and nail to be seen as a pop artist, to break through radio executives who dictated what was acceptable. So when she tells her management team, "I'm an artist," she's drawing a line in the sand.
She's pulling rank.
Basically, yeah. She spent 30 years fighting for the right to hold that microphone. She is absolutely not going to censor herself to protect the comfort of an ex-partner.
She's saying, "I earned this platform, and I'm going to use it." And it's fascinating to see how she absorbed the energy of other powerhouses in the industry along the way. She's talked about working with Beyoncé on Beautiful Liar and just being blown away by Beyoncé's forensic attention to detail and unmatched work ethic.
And you combine that with the influence of her recent collaborator, Cardi B, on their track Printeria. Shakira noted how much she admired Cardi's unapologetic, impulsive nature.
Cardi definitely does not hold back.
No, she doesn't. Cardi doesn't ask for permission to feel her feelings or say what's on her mind. You can see how the cumulative power of those influences, the meticulous work ethic of Beyoncé, and the unfiltered rage of Cardi B gave Shakira the blueprint to just let it rip on Vol 53.
But the most profound collaboration during this whole rebuilding phase wasn't with a global superstar. It was with her own kids.
It really was. Milan and Sasha were hanging out with her in the recording studio, just soaking up the creative process, and they naturally asked to sing on her track, Acrostico.
That is so sweet.
They had memorized the song. Shakira called them the collaborators of her dreams because they intuitively understood the emotional sentiment of the record.
Think about how powerful that is. She took the shattered pieces of her family dynamic, the trauma of that broken home in Barcelona, and literally rebuilt a new, unbreakable family dynamic inside the recording booth. It's beautiful. But while she's conquering the global charts and rebuilding her life in a new city, there is a staggering €24 million threat hanging over her head. Stay tuned.
Right, because the story doesn't end with a hit record. Shakira physically uproots her life. She packs up, leaves Barcelona, and moves to Miami. She negotiates a custody agreement that gives Pique 10 days a month with the kids, plus certain holidays.
But leaving Spain wasn't exactly a quiet exit. She posted a very cryptic photo from the plane, looking out the window, captioning it, "Things are not always as we dream."
Tensions were incredibly high, and right around that time, Piqué did a live stream interview where he complained about the barbarities he was receiving from Shakira's fans online. But the way he phrased it caused a massive uproar.
What did he say?
He specifically pointed out that his ex-partner is Latino-Americana, implying that this somehow explained the fierce, almost feral nature of the online attacks against him. The internet immediately flagged the comment as deeply xenophobic.
Oh, wow. And Shakira did not let that slide for a second. She didn't write a long PR statement. She just fired back on Twitter with a single sentence. She said, "I'm proud to be Latin American." And then she just dropped a massive wall of flag emojis representing Latin American countries.
It was a masterclass in clapping back without losing your cool.
Seriously. So now she is established in Miami, and she is living this intense, highly compartmentalized double life. On one hand, she is deep in the daily grind of being a single mom. She's been joking about the pure logistical nightmare of figuring out how her son Milan can play American football, soccer, and baseball all in the same week.
Which is just a universal parenting struggle.
I love how relatable that is, juggling stadium tours and middle school carpools.
Hmm.
And she's keeping a sense of humor about the industry, too. Like, she was laughing recently about how artificial intelligence keeps trying to clone her voice and completely failing.
Oh, the AI covers.
Yeah. It's because AI can get her E's vowel sounds right, but it totally messes up the other four because it can't replicate that unique guttural vocal flip she does.
She's also aggressively brushing off the tabloids, trying to link her to new men. They tried to start rumors about her and NBA star Jimmy Butler and actor Lucien Labuscount. She shut it down completely, stating she literally has no space or time for romance right now. She is entirely focused on her kids and her career.
But then you flip the coin. And on the other side of this fresh start in Miami is a massive, looming, dark cloud. The Spanish government is taking her to court.
And this isn't just a minor administrative dispute. The Spanish tax authority is notoriously aggressive. Prosecutors are seeking an 8-year, 2-month jail sentence.
Right? 8 years.
Yes, plus a fine of nearly €24 million. They're accusing her of defrauding the state of €14.5 million in income tax between 2012 and 2014. And to compound the pressure, last year she was hit with a new probe over a suspected €6.6 million.
How does that even work? I mean, how does a government prove where a globally touring pop star lives?
It all comes down to the mechanism of Spain's 183-day rule. Spanish law dictates that if you spend 183 days or more in the country during a calendar year, you are considered a tax resident and owe taxes on your global income.
And she's saying she wasn't there that much.
Right. Shakira firmly denies the charges, stating she didn't live in Spain full-time until 2015. But to prove their case, Spanish tax inspectors essentially act like private detectives. They don't just look at house deeds. They track credit card receipts at local Barcelona hair salons. They subpoena bills for private tutoring for the kids. They catalog paparazzi photos of you walking down the street.
That is so invasive.
It is. They build a microscopic forensic calendar of your entire year to prove you crossed that 183-day threshold.
And the optics weren't exactly helped by the fact that her name also popped up in the Pandora Papers back in 2021.
Exactly. For those who don't know, the Pandora Papers was a massive, unprecedented leak of financial documents that expose how the ultra-wealthy use offshore shell companies to manage their assets. Shakira was named in relation to a residence in the Bahamas.
Which isn't a good look when you're fighting tax evasion charges.
Well, using offshore entities isn't inherently illegal, and her defense team maintains she has always acted in accordance with the law. But when you are standing in front of a judge, being associated with a massive offshore wealth leak makes fighting a tax fraud charge exponentially harder in the court of public opinion.
It seriously feels like Shakira is living in a high-stakes action movie. She defeats the emotional villain, she gets her kids to safety in a new country, she reclaims her power on the global charts, only to realize the final boss is the Spanish tax authority.
The final boss. Exactly.
How does a person maintain their creative genius and perfectly balance a microscopic custody schedule when the threat of an 8-year international prison sentence is literally circled on the calendar?
I mean, it requires a staggering level of mental compartmentalization. When she talks about being in that survival stage, this is the reality of what she means. You have to keep your head above water when you are a single parent facing that kind of severe legal jeopardy, while simultaneously managing a global empire. You have to draw on a very deep well of resilience.
You have to be made of iron.
Yeah, and she attributes a lot of that to what she learned from her father, who she describes as an endearing character who constantly surprises everyone with his unwavering strength. She is applying that exact same strength to fight this legal battle.
It is wild to think about the pressure cooker she is living in right now. Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next as we follow this trial and all the fallout.
Synthesizing this entire journey, the trajectory is truly remarkable. You are looking at a 14-year-old girl from Colombia who started out fighting gatekeepers in a landscape where pop didn't even exist, who grew into a global icon. She took the absolute darkest moment of her life, a public betrayal, her father in the ICU, relentless paparazzi, and the painful dissolution of her family. And she didn't just survive it.
She weaponized it.
Exactly. She turned her grief into armor. Now she is preparing to perform at the 2026 FIFA World Cup, proving that what doesn't kill you makes you undeniably stronger. And despite the chaos, she recently stated she actually holds gratitude for Pique because the agonizing experience turned her into the fiercely protective mother she is today.
Yeah, and yet with all that triumph and the billion stream records, there's a lingering thought from one of her interviews that I just can't shake.
Yeah.
Shakira noted that happiness is a luxury, a commodity, and she doesn't think everyone has access to it.
That's a heartbreaking quote.
It is. She admitted she isn't part of the happiness club right now. She's just experiencing fleeting moments of distraction and reflection. So here's the question you have to ask yourself after hearing all this. Does extreme, world-shifting success inherently disqualify you from simple, everyday happiness? Or is the ability to turn your deepest, darkest pain into immortal art the only true form of happiness available to an artist operating at that level?
That's something to think about.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.